Hello, everybody. It is me, Arifureta Volume, and today we're here talking about the anime. If it's for my daughter, I'd even defeat a demon lord. Okay, so this series is definitely super, super interesting because, like, before this came out, I actually have the volumes. I have volume one, volume two, and volume three because that's where I'm at right now with what I have. And I should have read it. Like, I really should have read it. But by the time that, like, I was, like, getting around to, like, maybe reading it, the anime came out and it's already two episodes in. And I'm just watching the first episode just now. And for the first 9 minutes of this episode, I'm definitely very intrigued. This is a very interesting series so far because I honestly thought that when I read it, I thought that it was going to be a series about like a guy protecting like his actual daughter and saying like me protecting my daughter is like enough for me to like defeat like the demon lord. I thought that that was going to be the story, but instead you have the main character, an adventurer named Dale, just randomly going out like in like the forest to like defeat very simple monsters in order to get some coin. And then as he finishes defeating them and as he's like making food, a random girl appears out of nowhere, and her name is Latina, and she's like a random demon girl that's just that according to the main character Dale might have gotten banished because like one of her horns got like ripped off, and apparently if one of your horns is like slashed off, then that means that you're a banished person or you've committed a crime. So maybe she did something bad, or maybe like her family did something bad, so they all got like thrown out of somewhere. So then he like asks. So he try one thing that I thought was very awesome was how he tried to speak to her, but she only spoke demon language. I really like that they have this in this setup to the world. How if you're a demon kind, then you have a different language, and unless you're bilingual, I guess you can't speak human. So I guess because she's a little girl, she only spoke the demon language. So then the main character, I found it super funny how the main character is just like, huh, I can't speak to her. Oh wait, I know some demon, and then he just randomly starts speaking like super slow words to like try to speak to her, and he's saying it very weirdly. And I thought that that was a very cool moment because like the first 9 minutes they can both nearly understand each other, but they can't because the girl I guess can understand human language but can't speak it, but then the guy, he can sort of understand her when she talks, like if it's very short sentences. But if it's long sentences, he just like is totally just clueless to what she's saying. Like the one moment before, he like as he's like showing her the city later on at like where his home is, like she's just like, where are we going? And he's like, don't mention you're not heavy. And then it's like they're totally just not understanding each other. And so then he ends up feeding her like the food that he made out when he was camping out. And then he ends up asking her if she's alone. And then she says that her guardian or something told her to leave away. And then she ends up taking him to where like her guardian is. But then when he walks up to the body, because she's not supposed to go near, because that's what the guardian said, the main character Dale ends up going near the guardian and then finds out that the guardian is dead. So then he just assumes that this is their guardian, or if it's like her dad, because it looks male instead of female. So apparently the dad died. So then after that, he ends up just telling the girl that he'll make a proper burial for him. So then he does, and then apparently this like makes her happy. And then after like he like introduces himself to her, and once they like introduce, especially like it was weird seeing how after he picked her up and like was carrying her like away, like she like had a super smile on her face. She found like this moment with Dale super exciting. I guess she would if she was like alone and she was like thinking that she's gonna die in the forest and some random dude is helping her and protecting her. I guess that would make her pretty happy if I think about it instead of thinking weirdly about it. So then he ends up going to his like city and stuff like that, and then like the guardsman like ask him what he's doing with her, and like says says is that a demon girl? And then he's just like, It's just a little girl. The father died." And I'm like, you know me, I'll be able to handle this person." And he's just like, "Yeah, you probably would." So then he ends up like paying for the two of them to go in, and then that's where the 9 minutes are right now. So far, pretty interesting. I definitely should have read this because like I don't know if this is the same or if this is different. I might need to check it out like later. But yeah, I'll be back in a few seconds to review the rest of this. It's pretty good so far. Okay, so I'm back. So I just watched around 9 minutes to about 16 minutes. So then we saw him go to like a restaurant where he lives, because apparently he lives in the attic of the restaurant. So then he goes to the front door and he's holding on to Latina, and he's just like, it would probably be a very bad if I walked in here with her. Which depending on like the reasoning, like even later on, like afterwards, he goes through the back and then asks like the restaurant owner or like one of the people that work there if he can like use like the bath in the back. So he ends up using the bath in the back, and then he tries to bathe Latina and like put tries to put her into a bathtub that's activated using magic, which I thought was really cool. How he didn't like turn like a faucet to like turn on the water to the bath. He like used magic, and he says that like after that like later on he says that he was able to communicate using the demon language, because apparently the demon language is the magic that humans use. Apparently, like when they cast like their magical spells and say like the different languages that are in some fantasy like magic animes, like when they try to say different like random gibberish, that's them apparently speaking the demon language in this world, and that's how they activate magic, which I thought was a pretty cool thing. But yeah, he had to use magic to turn on the bath, which I thought was a very cool idea. I've never seen that before. So then he tries to do it, and then he like tries to like take off her like dirty clothes, but then she starts saying "Eta Eta," and I'm going to assume that she was saying pervert to him, like that would seem very like optional. And I like it how it didn't turn into like this super like cliche anime moment. He was just able to just rip it off her, grab her, and put her right in the bath. And then after that, like even like after that, as he's like finished bathing her, like the girl, like a girl from the restaurant that that we saw a scene with, like she like walks in and says like, "Oh yeah, I heard that something was going on." So she walks in and she doesn't even make a scene about it. She's just like, "Who's that girl?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I found her and her dad's dead, so I'm taking care of her a little bit." And the girl's just like, "Okay." Like seriously, like that's totally just a prime moment that a cliche moment could have happened. Maybe it did happen like exactly this way in the manga or even the light novelist, but if it actually happened exactly like this, that's awesome. That there's totally just cliche moments that could happen in the series. But I guess since they're all like basically adults, since the main character said that he's 18, so I'm going to assume that that girl is also around that age, and then that blonde haired guy is probably also around that age. So then there's pretty prime stuff right here. So then after that, they take the girl. Her name was, what was it? The girl that walked in. Her name was Rita. So then she gave her kid clothes to the Latina. So they go into the restaurant to like talk to her, and then apparently they have this device in the restaurant where like there she's like able to like look at news and look at like reports and stuff like that. So then she starts looking through the reports to see if there's like a girl like with her descriptions, like if she like her or her family were in like criminal activities or something like that, or if there's like search warrants for like these like demon kinds. So then apparently there was no information whatsoever about her. So then that they're thinking that maybe they're just a regular family, that something bad happened to that. Like the girl like asked Dale like what he's gonna do with her, and then he's just like, I didn't think that far. And she's like, I can't believe that you didn't think that far. So then apparently he thought about maybe taking her to the orphanage, but then the girl like Rita turned that down, saying that's not gonna work. Which I guess if this was like a mostly human continent where like they like have sort of a bias towards the demons, but at the same time not. I'm assuming that it's a very like polarizing thing, but I guess they're sort of normal in this world so far from what the first episode has showed us. So then after that, he just ends up just taking her to his room and then like having her just like sleep in the room with him. And this portion was definitely informational from what we saw, and it's definitely super cute. And I like what's going on so far. So I'm gonna see what happens at the last bits of this episode. Depending on what happens at towards the ending, I'm gonna like uh I may not enjoy this. Okay, so I just watched the ending of this episode, and all I gotta say is that definitely the opening song and ending song definitely are a match for this series. Like at first, I thought that the opening song was weird, and I think that the ending song is perfect. But then they definitely match this type of series, the feel that it's going for, and the type of like stuff that we're getting. And yeah, so after that portion of like them sleeping together, or like not in that type of way, of them like napping together in his room in the attic, like he like woke up in the morning and he was about to leave, but then as he was about to leave, she like woke up and got very worried about him. And that was like that was like a thing for like the last bits of this episode, where whenever when she saw him like there's only two times basically where like whenever when she couldn't see him, or like thought that maybe he like didn't want to like be around her anymore because of her being like this very like orphaned girl, like she just got very worried. And then like as soon as when she saw him, she'd be happy and then like run towards him, which I thought were very cute moments and definitely perfect. Another thing that we saw like is that as he was like as him and like the other characters like in the restaurant were saying good morning to each other, like she ended up catching on, was able to say good morning. And as we saw throughout the ending of this episode, is that she's starting to catch on and starting to figure out their human language and understanding like how she needs to speak. I'm going to assume that next episode, or maybe like as the episodes go on, she's going to be able to like do like further sentences and be able to like actually speak to people in a very regular way, instead of like everyone trying to figure out what she's saying, or like trying to like just like having this very like awkward moments within this episode. And then after that, he decides to like take her to like a market and like tries to like get her like clothes, and then he ends up like buying like thousands of clothes because he doesn't know what to choose, so he just lets the people at the market choose for him. And then there's like 6 or 7 bags that he's carrying around lugging with her. And then like there's like a few times after the market, like as like he's buying stuff for her, and as like she's like at the ending of the episode, it's like she keeps on asking like Dale if it's okay that she's like making him buy stuff for her, and if it's okay like taking care of her. But then he keeps on saying like that it's okay and stuff like that. And then at the end of the episode, he's like trying to like figure out if he should like take her to the orphanage, or if he should take care of her. And then he decides to adopt her and make her his daughter, which is the title of the series, which was a very cute moment in itself. Even though that the other, it was funny seeing the restaurant guy be like, "What the hell's going on right now?" And yeah, this series is definitely pretty enjoyable. I really enjoyed it. Like I have like the manga, and like I said, I haven't read it yet, but this makes me want to read it. I think I'm gonna read it after this episode. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. If you enjoyed my thoughts and my opinions of so leave a like. If you didn't enjoy this, really leave a dislike. And yeah, I actually really like this. So whether it's a video on this or a video on something else, then yeah, I'll be back later. Bye. See you later.